Renowned for his extensive use of animal imagery, Ted Hughes employs these depictions to symbolize the inner lives of humans, earning him the moniker of an animal poet. Violence is a recurring theme in his poetry, often intertwined with animal imagery, creating a vivid and dynamic portrayal of the natural world. Hughes' collections The Hawk in the Rain and Lupercal are notable for their focus on animal imagery. In the Jaguar, included in The Hawk in the Rain, Hughes describes a zoo scene where a jaguar's fierce energy captivates the crowd, contrasting sharply with the lethargy of other animals. The poem symbolizes the unquenchable spirit and imagination that cannot be confined by physical restraints. Thrushes vividly conveys the violence of small birds through striking imagery, capturing their swift and lethal movements as they hunt. Hawk Roosting, another of Hughes' well-known poems, presents an internal monologue of a hawk, characterized by its arrogance and superiority. Critics have interpreted this poem as glorifying violence and power, though Hughes himself argued it represents nature's raw power rather than any human political ideology. In The Hawk in the Rain, Hughes juxtaposes the resilience of a hawk against the struggles of a human in harsh weather, emphasizing the superior determination and simplicity of animals compared to human frailty. The Horses presents a different image, depicting horses as stoic and timeless beings, embodying strength, beauty, and grace. The Thought Fox is an allegorical poem where the movements of a fox symbolize the creative process of writing poetry. Instinct and intellect are in conflict, illustrating the transformation of an idea into a poem. Pike describes the violent nature of pikes, reflecting on the innate ego and superiority felt by all creatures, including humans. Hughes' crow poems, such as Black Beast, explore themes of inherent evil and the human tendency to ignore the evil within themselves while trying to eradicate it from society. His animal poetry, marked by harsh language and vivid imagery, underscores his appreciation for nature and his belief in the inherent superiority of animals over humans due to their freedom from the fear of mortality. In his work, Hughes transcends mere representation, delving into the intrinsic spirituality and instinctual vigor of the natural world, qualities he finds conspicuously absent in human society. Through animals, Hughes illuminates a primal life force that is distinctly non-human and non-rational, underscoring his belief in the enduring spirit of nature. One of the predominant themes in Hughes' poetry is the employment of animal characters to illustrate the savage, epic struggle between good and evil that unfolds in the natural world daily. His use of wildlife as a metaphor serves to both depict nature's raw occurrences and draw parallels with human existence. This thematic preoccupation is vividly demonstrated in Hughes' poem The Jaguar, which recounts a visit to the zoo. Hughes begins the poem by depicting the lethargy and docility of the zoo animals. The apes yawn and adore their fleas in the sun. The parrots shriek as if they were on fire, or strut like cheap tarts to attract the stroller with the nut. Fatigued with indolence, tiger and lion lie still as the sun. In these lines, Hughes subtly conveys his disapproval of the animal's indolence, using phrases such as the apes yawn and adore their fleas in the sun to suggest a monotonous, almost religious devotion to grooming. His description of the parrots' strut like cheap tarts further emphasizes the animal's diminished dignity, reduced to performing for food and attention. The poem continues with Hughes' observation of the seemingly lifeless boa constrictor. The boa constrictor's coil is a fossil. Cage after cage seems empty, or stinks of sleepers from the breathing straw. It might be painted on a nursery wall. Hughes' metaphorical language here likens the coiled snake to a fossil, symbolizing its near-death state. His commentary on the zoo's many empty cages, housing only dormant animals, reflects his disillusionment with the spectacle of captivity. However, the tone shifts dramatically as Hughes introduces the jaguar. But who runs like the rest past these arrives at a cage observed by a crowd which stares, mesmerized. This passage marks a pivotal change, as the poet describes a captivated crowd, mesmerized by the jaguar's restless energy. At a jaguar hurrying enraged through prison darkness after the drills of his eyes. Hughes' use of the word enraged communicates the jaguar's intense anger and relentless desire for freedom, contrasting starkly with the earlier scenes of inactivity. The poet admires the jaguar's indomitable spirit, encapsulated in the final lines. More than a visionary to his cell, his stride is wilderness of freedom. The world rolls under the long thrust of his heel. Over the cage floor the horizons come. Here, Hughes extols the jaguar's mental liberation, suggesting that true freedom transcends physical confinement. The jaguar's unwavering belief in its eventual escape symbolizes a free mind, unshackled by societal constraints. The jaguar, included in Hughes' 1957 volume Hawk in the Rain, reflects a neo-romantic manifesto, attacking the limitations imposed on poetry by poets and critics alike. The zoo visitor, indifferent to the docile animals but entranced by the jaguar, represents the discerning reader who seeks authentic, visionary poetry. In Crow's first lesson, Hughes introduces the character of Crow, a mythical figure central to his 1970 volume Crow. The poem portrays Crow receiving lessons from God on how to speak. But each attempt results in catastrophic disruptions in nature. This dark and violent imagery serves to illustrate the perennial struggle between good and evil, with Crow embodying the trickster archetype, a breaker of taboos and destroyer of sanctities. Hughes continues this theme in Crow Communes, where Crow, exploiting God's exhaustion, partakes of God's body in a parody of the Christian rite. "Well," said Crow, "what first?" God, exhausted with creation, snored. "Which way?" said Crow, "which way first?" God's shoulder was the mountain on which Crow sat today. "Come," said Crow, "let's discuss the situation." God lay, agape, a great carcass. Crow tore off a mouthful and swallowed. Hughes' portrayal of Crow's sacrilegious communion underscores the character's role as a trickster, lampooning religious and philosophical constructs. This satirical tone reflects Hughes' own disillusionment with traditional notions of love and divinity, influenced by personal tragedies, including the suicides of his wives Sylvia Plath and Asha Weville, and the death of his mother. In The Horses, Hughes combines meticulous descriptions of nature with evocative imagery to transport the reader into the narrator's experience of a silent dawn. interrupted by the majestic presence of horses. Similarly, in an otter, Hughes depicts the animal's tragic existence, caught between land and water, as a metaphor for displacement and loss. Buzz in the Window exemplifies Hughes' ability to infuse everyday events with mythological significance, presenting a battle between a fly and a spider with vivid emotional intensity. The poem's climax emphasizes the existential struggle, transforming mundane occurrences into epic confrontations. The Thought Fox, another iconic poem, explores the creative process itself. Hughes likens the arrival of poetic inspiration to the stealthy approach of a fox, embodying the ferocity and suddenness of creative thought. In Crow Black Than Ever, Hughes encapsulates Crow's mythic purpose, highlighting the fractured relationship between God and man. Crow's intervention, depicted through grotesque and powerful imagery, redefines creation in his own terms. Hughes' poetry often employs the symbol of the wolf, representing both personal and universal themes. In Wolf Watching, the wolf embodies the primal energies suppressed by society, reflecting Hughes' belief in the inevitable re-emergence of these forces. A Modest Proposal and The Howling of Wolves further explore the duality of the wolf's nature, juxtaposing its instinctive drive with human emotions and societal constraints. Hughes' fascination with the wolf extends to its mythological and folkloric associations. The Green Wolf, a central figure in midsummer ceremonies, illustrates the poet's ability to blend contemporary themes with ancient symbols, creating a rich tapestry of meaning. In summary, Ted Hughes' poetry stands as a testament to the enduring power of nature, the primal instincts of animals, and the complex interplay between humanity and the natural world. Through his vivid imagery and profound metaphors, Hughes invites readers to contemplate the deeper truths of existence, challenging societal norms and celebrating the wild, untamed spirit that resides within us all.